Hey everyone and welcome to Deep Dive Health. Today we're tackling inflammation and how to combat it through diet. So before we get into the specifics, let's start with the basics. What exactly is inflammation and why should we even care about it in the first place? I mean, we hear the word all the time, but what does it actually mean for our bodies? We should break this down a bit before we get into all the dietary stuff. So you can think of inflammation as your body's natural defense mechanism and like a rapid response team that swings into action whenever there's an injury or an invader like, let's say you cut your finger. What happened? It gets all red and swollen and it throbs like crazy. That's inflammation in action. Your damaged cells send out signals calling in the white blood cells to the scene. These white blood cells, they're like the first responders. They rush to the area to fight off any potential infections and start the healing process. So in that sense, inflammation is a good thing. It's your body's way of protecting and healing itself. So it's like our own personal army fighting for us. That's kind of cool. But I know there's a flip side to this. This type of inflammation we've been talking about, it's called acute inflammation. It's short-term and it's usually beneficial, but then there's chronic inflammation and that's another story. That's the one we hear about all the time as being bad. Chronic inflammation is like that annoying car alarm that just won't shut off. It's this low-grade persistent inflammation that can simmer beneath the surface for months or even years. You might not even realize it's happening. There might not be any obvious outward signs. So it's sneaky, like a silent troublemaker. And that's what makes it so dangerous, this chronic inflammation. It's been linked to a whole host of chronic diseases like heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, even some types of cancer. It's amazing how something we can't even feel can have such a huge impact on our health. I guess it makes sense though when you think about it. If your body is constantly in this state of alert fighting off this invisible enemy, it's bound to take a toll eventually. So while acute inflammation is our friend, chronic inflammation is definitely a foe that we want to keep under control. So how do we do that? How do we keep this chronic inflammation under control? We know diet plays a huge role. So what we're going to do now is take a look at how food choices can actually help us either fight inflammation or fan the flames. Let's start with a surprising culprit that can fuel this chronic inflammation. Salt. People know that too much salt can be bad for your blood pressure, but they didn't know it was also linked to inflammation. And the research is actually pretty eye-opening. There was this study published in Nature, a pretty well-respected journal, and they found that a high-salt diet actually messed with the immune systems of mice. It increased certain white blood cells, making them multiple sclerosis, which is an autoimmune disease. Much worse. So something as simple as salt can have a huge impact on our immune systems. It really highlights how these seemingly harmless dietary choices can have pretty significant consequences for inflammation throughout our bodies. It makes you think twice about what you sprinkle on your food. You hear so much about the gut microbiome these days and how important it is for our overall health. Is there a link between gut health and inflammation? Absolutely. Your gut microbiome is the link. It's this amazing ecosystem of trillions of bacteria living in your digestive tract. And believe it or not, it plays a crucial role in managing inflammation. So those tiny little bacteria in our gut can actually impact inflammation throughout our bodies. When things are running smoothly in your gut, the good bacteria, they keep the bad bacteria in check. But when the balance tips in favor of the bad bacteria, that's when trouble can start brewing. Leaky gut syndrome is what they call it. It's basically when the lining of your gut becomes more permeable than it should be. Imagine the lining of your gut as a tightly woven net, designed to keep things in. Leaky gut syndrome is like having tiny holes in this net, allowing toxins and bacteria to enter into your bloodstream. It's like a security breach in your gut. And when that happens, your immune system goes on high alert, trying to fight off these invaders. And this leads to inflammation. So it all comes back to inflammation. It seems like so many things in our bodies are connected to this one process. And that's why it's so important to understand inflammation and how we can manage it, especially through diet. So let's dive into that. What can we eat to keep those good gut bacteria happy and fight inflammation from the inside out? Science highlights 12 anti-inflammatory superstars that are readily available year-round. First up, we've got natural rice and tofu, excellent sources of complex carbohydrates and plant-based protein. Great for keeping you feeling full and energized. Then we've got broccoli and tomatoes, packed with antioxidants and vitamins that help fight inflammation. Next on the list, garlic and olive oil, both renowned for their potent anti-inflammatory properties. Apples and oranges, providing a healthy dose of fiber and vitamin C, another powerful antioxidant. Fruit is always a good idea. Then we have walnuts and flax seeds, offering those omega-3 fatty acids known for their anti-inflammatory effects. Lots of plant-based foods, fruits, veggies, nuts, seeds. And finally, we've got dark chocolate and salmon. But don't get too excited about the dark chocolate. It should be enjoyed in moderation, of course. But both of these delicious treats offer anti-inflammatory benefits. so we can indulge a little. As long as it's in moderation. So we've got our 12 anti-inflammatory all-stars. There's got to be more to it than that. There are so many other foods out there. Grapes, apples, pomegranates, mushrooms, and green tea. These foods might not always be in the spotlight, but they pack a serious punch when it comes to fighting inflammation. Bell pepper contains capsaicin, which can actually help reduce pain and inflammation. And grapes are rich in anthocyanins, which offer similar benefits to berries, which are, well, apples are always a good choice, too. They are packed with fiber and polyphenols, which keep your gut microbiome happy. And we know how important that is for managing inflammation. Pomegranates are packed with antioxidants and vitamins, another great addition to your anti-inflammatory arsenal. Mushrooms, especially shiitake mushrooms. They boast potent antioxidant properties. The next excellent antioxidant is green tea. With its EGCG, epigallocatechin gallate, a polyphenol that has been linked to a reduced risk of heart disease and other chronic conditions. So incorporating all these often overlooked foods sounds like a delicious way to boost our anti-inflammatory defenses. And remember, variety is key to a healthy and enjoyable diet. Now, there's one dietary pattern that always seems to come up when we talk about anti-inflammatory eating, the Mediterranean diet. What is it about this way of eating that makes it so good at fighting inflammation? Well, the Mediterranean diet, it's all about embracing whole, unprocessed foods. With an emphasis on fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts, and seeds, olive oil is the primary fat source, and fatty fish like salmon, tuna, and sardines are encouraged. Red meat is consumed sparingly, and moderate wine intake is often part of the lifestyle. It sounds like a pretty balanced and enjoyable way to eat. And it seems to work on multiple levels when it comes to inflammation first. It's loaded with antioxidants and phytochemicals from all those plant-based foods, which help neutralize free radicals, those pesky molecules that can damage cells and contribute to inflammation. Then there's the focus on omega-3 fatty acids from fatty fish, known for their potent anti-inflammatory effects. And let's not forget about olive oil, a staple of the Mediterranean diet. It contains oleocanthal, a compound with anti-inflammatory properties comparable to ibuprofen. And olive oil is like a natural anti-inflammatory. And here's another bonus. The Mediterranean diet supports a healthy gut microbiome by providing ample fiber from whole grains and vegetables. It nourishes those beneficial bacteria in your gut, promoting a balanced microbiome that helps keep inflammation under control. So it's like a multi-pronged attack on inflammation. Now, let's talk more about fiber. We know it's important for digestion, but what's its role in reducing inflammation? Fiber is actually a pretty amazing nutrient. It's a type of carbohydrate that our bodies can't digest, but it acts like a superhero in our digestive systems, promoting regularity and keeping things moving smoothly. But its benefits go far beyond just keeping things regular. Fiber contributes to reducing inflammation by nourishing those beneficial bacteria in your gut. Think of it as a prebiotic, feeding the good guys and helping them thrive. These good bacteria, in turn, produce short-chain fatty acids, which have powerful anti-inflammatory effects throughout your body. So fiber's like a double whammy. But here's the thing. Not all fiber is created equal. Research suggests that cereal fiber, the type found in whole grains, is more consistently linked to anti-inflammatory benefits than fiber from fruits or vegetables. So while it's essential to eat plenty of fruits and vegetables, we should also make sure we're getting a good dose of whole grains to maximize those anti-inflammatory effects. We know there are a lot of different diets out there that are touted for their health benefits. Two that we often hear about are the DHH diet and the Mediterranean diet. How do these two diets compare when it comes to inflammation and overall health? The DHH diet, which stands for Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension, was specifically designed to lower blood pressure. This is on reducing sodium intake and increasing potassium-rich foods like fruits and vegetables. It provides specific guidelines for daily servings of each food group, making it a more structured approach to eating. So it's more about following specific rules. The Mediterranean diet, as we've discussed, focuses on overall health and well-being. It's less about strict rules and more about adopting a balanced and enjoyable way of eating. So it's more about a lifestyle change. But how do they differ in terms of their specific recommendations? Well, when it comes to alcohol, the DHH diet recommends very low intake because alcohol can raise blood pressure. The Mediterranean diet, on the other hand, allows for moderate alcohol consumption, typically a glass of red wine per day. Sodium restriction is a key component of the DHH diet. While the Mediterranean diet doesn't explicitly focus on sodium reduction, although it tends to be lower in sodium naturally because of its emphasis on whole, unprocessed foods. In terms of fat, the DHH diet recommends low-fat dairy products to reduce saturated fat intake. The Mediterranean diet, however, promotes healthy fats from sources like olive oil and fatty fish, allowing for moderate amounts of saturated fat from dairy products like yogurt and cheese. So the Mediterranean diet is a bit more lenient on fat. Both diets emphasize lean protein sources. But the Mediterranean diet encourages more fish consumption than the DHH diet. The DHH diet also limits red meat more strictly than the Mediterranean diet. So both diets are beneficial for heart health. But they have some distinct differences based on the primary goals and dietary recommendations. Maybe we can do a quick recap of those key differences just to make sure we're all on the same page. Let's break it down first. Purpose. The DHH diet aims to reduce blood pressure. Mediterranean diet is all about overall health. Next. Structure. DHH is structured with guidelines for daily servings. Mediterranean diet is more flexible. Alcohol. DHH recommends very limited intake. Mediterranean diet allows moderate consumption. DHH emphasizes reduction. Mediterranean diet is generally lower due to its focus on whole foods. Fat. DHH recommends low-fat dairy and reduces saturated fat. Mediterranean diet promotes healthy fats from olive oil and fish. And finally, protein sources. DHH limits red meat and emphasizes lean proteins. Mediterranean diet encourages fish and allows for some saturated fat from dairy. So if your primary goal is to lower your blood pressure, the DHH diet might be a better fit. But if you're looking for a more flexible approach that promotes overall health and well-being, the Mediterranean diet might be more your style. Now, we've talked a lot about food. But what about supplements? Are there any supplements that can help reduce inflammation? Of course there are. But remember, supplements should never replace a healthy diet and lifestyle. They can sometimes provide an extra boost. But always consult with a healthcare professional before starting any new supplement regimen. Especially if you have any underlying health conditions or taking medications. So, what supplements are we talking about here? The medical lecture mentions several noteworthy options, including ASU, curcumin, Boswellia serrata, MSM vitamin C, and collagen. Let's break those down one by one. What's ASU? ASU stands for avocado soybean unsaponifiable. It's a combination of avocado and soybean oils. That's been shown to be beneficial for joint health. It helps reduce inflammation and supports cartilage production. Next we have curcumin, the active compound in turmeric. With a powerful anti-inflammatory, especially for conditions like osteoarthritis, it can help reduce pain and inflammation in your joints. It is quite popular these days. And for good reason. Then we have Boswellia serrata, also known as Indian frankincense. It's another natural supplement with a long history of use for its anti-inflammatory properties. It's often used to reduce inflammation and improve joint health, particularly in conditions like rheumatoid arthritis and osteoarthritis. Next up is MSM, or methylsulfanyl-methane. It's a naturally occurring compound found in humans, animals, and plants. It's often used to reduce inflammation and pain, especially in conditions like osteoarthritis, and is also believed to support joint health by promoting cartilage production. Vitamin C is essential for immune function, but it's also a potent antioxidant that helps protect against free radical damage, which can contribute to inflammation. It's a multitask. And finally, we have collagen, the most abundant protein in our bodies. It's a key component of our connective tissues, including our skin, tendons, ligaments, and cartilage. Collagen supplements, particularly hydrolyzed collagen and undenatured type 2 collagen, are often used to alleviate joint pain and support cartilage health. Now, it's important to remember that while these supplements show promise, we should always talk to our doctor before taking them. They can help determine the appropriate dosage and ensure that the supplements are safe for you, giving your individual health history and any medications you might be taking. Well, I feel like we've covered a lot of ground already, and we've only just scratched the surface of this topic. How complex and interconnected our bodies are. And how something like inflammation, which we often can't even feel, can play such a huge role in our overall health. But the good news is we're not powerless. We can make choices every day to support our bodies and reduce inflammation. That's the empowering part of all this. So we've talked about all these amazing anti-inflammatory foods, but how do we actually incorporate them into our daily lives? Something can be overwhelming sometimes. It's one thing to know what's good for you, but it's another thing entirely to actually make it happen. Well, let's get practical. Remember the 12 foods we discussed earlier? They're not just good for you. They can be delicious too. Imagine starting your day with a bowl of natural rice or cooked oatmeal topped with fresh fruit like berries or sliced apple. That's a breakfast that fights inflammation and tastes amazing. And for lunch, you could enjoy a vibrant salad packed with leafy greens, tomatoes, and a protein source like tofu or salmon. Drizzle it with some delicious olive oil and sprinkle on some flax seeds for extra flavor and nutritional punch. What about dinner? How about a savory stir-fry, broccoli, garlic, and your choice of protein seasoned with anti-inflammatory spices like turmeric and ginger? Keep things simple and satisfying with a handful of walnuts, a piece of dark chocolate, or juicy orange. These simple swaps can really add up and make a big difference in reducing inflammation over time. It's all about those little changes. But here's another thing to consider. It's not just about what you eat, but also how you prepare it. The way we cook our food can actually impact its inflammatory potential. Take olive oil, for example. It's an anti-inflammatory rock star. But when heated to high temperatures, it can form harmful compounds. So try to favor gentler cooking methods like steaming, poaching, or baking, grilling and frying. Full tempting can produce inflammatory compounds, so enjoy them in moderation. Now let's go back to that study on salt and autoimmunity. This study was published in the prestigious journal Nature, and it revealed a surprising connection between high salt intake and the severity of autoimmune diseases. Yeah, it was all about those T helper cells. Researchers found that mice fed a high-salt diet had a significant increase in T helper cells. These cells play a crucial role in the immune response. And in these mice, they seem to be going into overdrive. And that led to more severe multiple sclerosis in the mice, which suggests that a high-salt diet could potentially contribute to the development or worsening of autoimmune conditions. It's amazing how something as simple as salt can have such a profound impact on our immune systems. It's a reminder that what we eat can really influence our health in ways we might not even realize. Now, let's shift gears a bit and talk about weight management. We know obesity is a major health concern, but is there a connection between inflammation and obesity? There is, and it's actually a pretty complex relationship. Obesity promotes inflammation, and inflammation makes it harder to lose weight. It's like a vicious cycle. But how does that work, exactly? When we carry excess weight, especially around our midsection, those fat cells become little factories churning out inflammatory compounds. These compounds enter the bloodstream, creating a state of chronic low-grade inflammation throughout the body. So our own fat cells can contribute to inflammation. And this inflammation contributes to a whole host of health issues, including insulin resistance, which makes it even harder to lose weight. But it gets even more complicated. Inflammation can also interfere with the function of leptin, a hormone that signals to your brain when you're full. So if leptin isn't working properly, we might keep eating even when we're not actually hungry. It's a frustrating cycle that can feel impossible to break. So how do we escape this cycle? It requires a multi-pronged approach. We need to tackle both the inflammation and the weight management issue. Adopting an anti-inflammatory diet can help calm down that inflammatory response, making it easier to lose weight. But regular exercise, stress management techniques, and adequate sleep are all crucial pieces of the puzzle as well. It's about creating a holistic lifestyle. Now, let's talk more about leaky gut syndrome. We touched on it briefly earlier, but I think it deserves a deeper dive. Leaky gut syndrome is a growing concern, and it's definitely something we should all be aware of. So remind me, what exactly is leaky gut syndrome? Remember how we talked about the lining of your gut acting as a barrier, preventing harmful substances from sneaking into your bloodstream? Leaky gut syndrome occurs when this barrier becomes compromised, allowing toxins, bacteria, and undigested food particles to slip through the cracks. It's like a security breach in our gut. And what causes this to happen? Several factors can contribute to it. Chronic stress, a poor diet, infections, certain medications, and excessive alcohol consumption can all weaken that gut barrier. It's a combination of factors. The key is to address those underlying causes. So if stress is a factor, we need to find ways to manage stress. And if diet is a factor, we need to make changes to our diet. It's about taking a holistic approach. Let's talk about aging. It's something we can't avoid. But is there a connection between inflammation and aging? There is. The health book actually refers to chronic inflammation as the silent ager. Chronic inflammation accelerates the aging process, contributing to wrinkles, age spots, and even a decline in cognitive function. It's like rust slowly eating away at a car. Chronic inflammation damages our cells and tissues over time, speeding up the wear and tear process. So how do we combat this silent ager? By embracing an anti-inflammatory lifestyle. By creating our bodies with nutrient-rich foods, getting regular exercise, managing stress effectively, and prioritizing sleep. It's all about taking care of ourselves. I know we talked about some supplements earlier, but are there any others that might be helpful in reducing inflammation? There are. Let's add a few more to our list. First up is ginger. It contains compounds called gingerols, which have been shown to reduce inflammation and pain. It's a great addition to your diet. You can add it to stir-fries, soups, smoothies, or simply enjoy a cup of soothing ginger tea. Turmeric is also excellent. While curcumin is the active compound in turmeric, the spice itself offers a range of health benefits. Turmeric contains other beneficial compounds, including turmerones, which also have anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties. You can add turmeric to your diet by using it in curries, soups, or simply sprinkling it on roasted vegetables. Golden milk is another delicious way to enjoy its benefits. Then we have cinnamon. It contains a compound called cinnamaldehyde, which has been shown to reduce inflammation and protect against oxidative stress. You can easily sprinkle it on your oatmeal, yogurt, or coffee, or use it in baking to add a warm and comforting flavor. What about vitamin D? Vitamin D plays a crucial role in immune function, and research suggests that vitamin D deficiency may be linked to increased inflammation. So it's important to make sure we're getting enough. Sunlight is the best source. But many people, especially those living in northern climates, may not get enough from sun exposure alone. So supplements can be helpful. Then there's magnesium, a mineral that's involved in over 300 enzymatic reactions in the body, including those involved in inflammation regulation. That's a lot of responsibility. Magnesium deficiency is surprisingly common, and it's been linked to increased inflammation and a higher risk of chronic diseases. So how do we make sure we're getting enough magnesium? You can increase your magnesium intake by consuming magnesium-rich foods like leafy greens, almonds, avocado, and black beans. Magnesium supplements are also available, but it's always best to talk to your healthcare provider to determine the appropriate dosage for you. Now zinc. Zinc is essential for immune function and wound healing. Zinc deficiency can impair immune responses and increase inflammation. So it's important for overall health. You can find zinc in foods like oysters, beef, pumpkin seeds, and chickpeas. Zinc supplements are also available. But as with any supplement, it's best to consult with your healthcare provider before taking them. Selenium. A trace mineral that's a key player in antioxidant defense. Selenium helps protect against oxidative stress, which can contribute to inflammation and cell damage. So it's another important antioxidant. Brazil nuts are a fantastic source of selenium, but you can also find it in seafood, eggs, and whole grains. And what about the probiotics? Probiotics are essential for maintaining a healthy gut microbiome, which, as we've discussed, is crucial for managing inflammation. You can get probiotics from fermented foods like yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, and kimchi. Probiotic supplements are also available. And vitamin E is a powerful antioxidant that helps protect against free radical damage. It plays a crucial role in immune function and is involved in several processes that regulate inflammation. So it's another important player in the fight against inflammation. You can find vitamin E in foods like nuts, seeds, vegetable oils, and green leafy vegetables. Vitamin E supplements are also available, but as with any supplement, it's essential to talk to your healthcare provider to determine the appropriate dosage for you. Now coenzyme Q10, also known as CoQ10. This compound is naturally present in every cell of our bodies and plays a crucial role in energy production. It's also a potent antioxidant, protecting against oxidative stress. So it's a busy little molecule. Research suggests that CoQ10 may have anti-inflammatory properties and can be beneficial in conditions like heart disease and diabetes. You can find CoQ10 in foods like fatty fish, organ meats, and whole grains. CoQ10 supplements are also available, but as with any supplement, it's best to discuss their use with your healthcare provider. And last but not least is alpha-lipoic acid, or ALA. It's a powerful antioxidant that's both water and fat soluble, allowing it to work throughout the body. ALA helps regenerate other antioxidants, including vitamin C and E, and plays a role in energy production. Research suggests that ALA may have anti-inflammatory properties and can be beneficial in conditions like diabetes and nerve damage. You can find ALA in foods like spinach, broccoli, and organ meats. ALA supplements are also available, but it's best to talk to your doctor. We've covered a lot of ground here. There are a lot of different options available when it comes to reducing inflammation. We have more power than we think. We've been exploring how to combat inflammation through diet, and we've uncovered some pretty valuable insights. But before we close, I want to step back and really emphasize why this is so important to our overall health and well-being. Because it's easy to get lost in the details, all the different foods and supplements, but we need to remember the big picture. So why should we care about inflammation? Because chronic inflammation is like a silent threat, a smoldering fire inside of us that can silently contribute to a whole host of chronic diseases. We're talking heart disease, stroke, diabetes, cancer, autoimmune diseases, you name it. Chronic inflammation is often a common factor in these health challenges we face today. It's a silent epidemic, with serious consequences. But here's the good news. We have more power over inflammation than we might realize. Making smart choices about eating, moving, managing stress and caring for ourselves overall. We can actually reduce inflammation. It is all about self-empowerment and supporting our body's natural ability to heal. It's not just about treating specific symptoms. It's about creating an environment within our bodies that encourages healing and resilience. And that can have a profound impact on our long-term health. So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's think about what we've learned and how we can apply it to our own lives. Remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about making progress. One step at a time. Incorporate some of the foods and tips we talked about into your daily routine. Try new recipes. Explore different anti-inflammatory ingredients. It's all about finding what works for you. And what's sustainable for you. Most importantly, listen to your body. Pay attention to how it responds to different foods and lifestyle choices. Because what works for one person might not work for another. It's about finding what feels right and creating a sustainable lifestyle that supports your goals. So as we come to the end of our guide, I want to leave you with this thought. Reducing inflammation is a journey, not a destination. It's about making conscious choices every day. Thank you for joining us on this journey. I hope you found it informative and empowering. Until next time. Keep diving deep and keep learning. Keep exploring, and don't forget to subscribe to not miss the next parts.